Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take an issue in society prevalent which is coming to the surface. Are these devious criminal minds who believe that they can hack, chop women who they have professed love to, married, or somehow ensnared in their whole jal, if I may say that, or web of deceit? Or is there a deeper malaise? As is being alleged by certain sections of society, the families of these victims who turn around and say, no, this is love jihad at play. Now, there are many who would have objections to this term itself, saying there's nothing called love jihad. Don't insult jihad, which is supposed to be sacrifice or a very holy or a good cause. And how can there be love and jihad? How can there be love sacrifice? But this coinage came from the courts in Kerala, and we'll talk about that to the core. But the idea is that you use love or inducement to try and bring people into your theological fold. Now you do that via coercion, inducement, deceit, or even by ensnaring gullible young girls. There are many facets to that too. But have a look at these recent instances. Is there a love jihad alarm that should be rung? It's a question. Let's get you an overview of the brutal cases that have shocked the country. Now, first up these cases, there was one in Lakhimpur Kheri. Of course, there is one which happened on the 24th of December in Korba, but Lakhimpur Kheri, Wasi Ahmed electrocutes his wife to death. That's what he does. Uma Sharma had converted to Islam. Accused buries the body inside the bedroom. 24th December 2022, Korba, Chhattisgarh, which came to light just on Tuesday, a 21-year-old tribal girl, Neel Kusum, was murdered by Shahbaz, and Shahbaz stabbed Neel Kusum 51 times with a screwdriver. Now, the accused murdered Neel Kusum for ignoring his calls. Shahbaz flew down from Gujarat to Chhattisgarh to murder this girl. 19th December 2022, Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh. A Hindu girl commits suicide under duress from the boyfriend Irfan, who made private videos of the girl and released them online. The family had approached cops with harassment complaint. 17th of December 2022, another case comes to fore where there is Riaz Khan, Imran Sheikh. They kill Urvashi and dispose the body in the river. Now, Riaz Khan was having an affair, an extramarital affair with this girl. Riaz worked as a gym trainer and also as a delivery boy. 17 December 2022, Sahibganj, Jharkhand. A tribal woman who married a Muslim man was found hacked to pieces. This tribal woman had become the second wife of Dildar Ansari. Dildar family members, including the first wife, have been now arrested for the crime. Back on May, 18th of May 2022, Shraddha Walker is murdered and chopped up by boyfriend Aftab. Aftab scatters the body parts in Chhatarpur forest over weeks. Aftab then confesses to the crime after arrest in November. The investigation reveals Shraddha had faced months, if not years, of abuse. Do all these crimes show that there are criminal minds and there can be people in a fit of rage, anger and passion, kill somebody, hack somebody? But why would family members get involved is a question. Or is there a deeper malaise saying that if you cannot come on my way, follow my path and listen to me, then you don't deserve to live? Raleef Saleef Khalif. Does that come to your mind? Or is that too much of a hyperbole? We'll discuss this threadbare. Let's dive into this. Are these just deviant minds, or is there a deeper malaise that we need to be aware of as society and then work towards sorting this out? And does this stem from a history which says that theologically the intent is to convert, tabligh, however you do it, and then you ensnare, and if you don't follow my way, I will kill you. So convert or die. Is that too much of a hyperbole? Let's ask the ladies who are with me in studio, and we also have Dr. Makarand Paranspe joining us. But Aarti Agarwal, author and researcher, is with us. Aishwarya Mudgil is a lawyer with us. Ambar Zaidi is a social activist who's also got a big petition in court calling for a uniform civil code. She's with us, and Dr. Makarand Paranspe, Professor JNU and political commentator, also with us. Professor Paranspe, you are outside the studio. The ladies are in the studio, so I'm going to start with them, and we'll come across and let's just discuss this threadbare, because on the face of it, Ambar Zaidi, when we look at a string of events, there seems to be a pattern. But we are a vast country, and if you look at it, a nation of 1.4 billion people, and if you take 25-30 cases, can you actually string a pattern, or you can say criminals exist in every society? In this case, should we bring religion, Muslim boy, Hindu girl into consideration, or would you say no, look at it as crime of passion?
See, I don't look at it as a normal crime of a pattern, but I, as a Muslim of this country, I personally accept that there is a pattern and there is something happening in the society. But the problem with that society is the responsible people of the community, religious scholars, they are in complete denial. They blatantly deny, outrightly deny that there is no there is no such thing called love jihad. It is just coined by and created by media and some Hindu outfits. But on the contrary, the reality is that this term coined in Kerala just years and years ago, and we all know that what happened in Kerala, the mass conversion of Christian girls came into the fore, and now the new pattern which we are discussing on, every other day we are just coming up with the new cases where the girls of different community are being targeted and ending up getting killed. So first and foremost, we should accept that there is something wrong which is going on. We should accept as Muslim and then come up with a solution. But the problem is that, Anand, when there is a condition that as a Muslim you cannot marry outside the religion, then this happens. But on the contrary, in our constitution we have provision of a Special Marriage Act. Then also, if you marry under a Special Marriage Act, you have to follow nikah and you have to do nikah. So there is a condition, you have to convert. If you are a Muslim, then you can marry. If you can convert into the same faith which I follow, for example, then only you can get married to the person. When these conditions are being put in front of the youth, so I think this is the main cause, and we should find a solution about it. And
no, but Amber, you please let me ask you this. Okay, there are so many cases where there is a Hindu woman or a Hindu guy and a Muslim woman or a Muslim guy who are married, who are happy. There is no forcing of. The issue comes when you try and say you have to convert to my faith.
Absolutely.
You create situations where you either say मैं तुम्हारी video bar कर दूंगा. You try and create, you have equations with the girl, and then you tell her, Aishwarya, that's what you go ahead and tell her, listen, I want to get married to you, but my parents will accept only if you convert to Islam. So then you knew that, then why did you enter into a relationship?
That's what I'm saying. So, there is a kind of social religious pressure which is being put on young minds, that you ask your partner, your living partner, or your fiancé, or whatever you may call it, that you have to follow my faith, then only I can accept, or my society will accept.
So then I'll ask two questions here. Okay, one of the girls, if the girls, why can't they be very, very clear what they want? Okay, the girls are also entering into a relationship with a guy, right? Why can't the Muslim boys be very clear, listen, if my family, my people are not going to allow me an inter-caste, inter-community marriage, then let me not go in that direction. Why first accept a girl because of who she is, for her values or her systems, and then tell her, no, you have to accept my way, otherwise I will defame you. Otherwise I'll leave you high and dry. This is all emotional blackmail which happens from the guy's side.
Mindset.
Yeah. So is that a criminal mindset? Is that a criminal mindset? And then the other thing is, girls are also falling for it. There are girls also who allow themselves to be subjected to this. They allow themselves to be put through this. So are they not at fault? I'm just asking. I'm putting it up.
girls of different community, they are so liberal and we are not. We ask you to follow our rules. Then the fault is in your,
but
in your community.
you like the girl because she is liberal, and then you tell her no, you have to become orthodox.
The fault is
Two points to it. One is, of course, as Amber said, that people are coming from a liberal society. We are open to the idea of getting married to a different community, whereas the other community may not be that liberal. There's also cases where the guy has lied about his identity or about the religion. So just recently, today itself, Intizar from Noida was caught because he was masquerading as Sonu. 2 days ago, there was someone else, Asif, masquerading as Ashok in Gujarat. There was someone else, Muhammad Itejar, masquerading as Rakesh Singh in Bihar. Mohsin Khan as Monu Verma in MP. So these cases are the cases which have built up or led people to think that there is some sort of, or legislatures to call for a legislative intervention. Why is that legislative intervention needed? The hotly debated topic about the love jihad law, which I believe is a misnomer, which is not the right way to say it. But why do such acts come in, right? And whatever you call it, let's just, even if I call it love jihad law, this has been in existence for years. I think Odisha came up with this similar legislation back in 1968, and constitutionality of it was already challenged in 1977.
And here it is not forced, it is inducement, it is fraudulent, it is ensnaring, allurement, and also coercion to a certain extent, because you are using emotional blackmail to the level. And it's not restricted to Hindu girls. In Kerala, we've seen it's Christian girls, there are Jain girls, there are girls from all communities who are being targeted while you hide identity. One is you hide identity, the other is you know that there is going to be an issue, and then you use that after you've taken the girl far down the garden path.
Right. Absolutely. So I think, Anand, here what we are dealing with is several types and different levels of deception. Right? It's not just fraud, it's deception. So, you know that the girl is coming from a liberal background or a Hindu or a Christian background, and in the beginning you behave like it's all perfectly fine with you, and then slowly you change your colors over a period of time. That's one thing. Now, the other thing is, my contention, having studied a lot of these cases over the past 4 years, is that this is deliberate targeting of Christian, of Hindu girls. Deliberately they are being targeted for being women and for being from a particular community, and many of these women are actually from oppressed backgrounds, like they are scheduled caste, scheduled tribes or other backgrounds, tribal girls, right? And they are being lured for some incentives which they are never going to fulfill. Like many times the man promises to marry the girl and he never fulfills it. Many times the man doesn't even tell the girl that he already has 3 wives or he already has kids, or that he is going to expect the girl to live like a slave, to do everything he asks her to live. So these things are not made clear at all. So, because many people argue that they're consenting adults. So what's the problem? So this is the problem, because there is several levels of deception. So if you're agreeing to something which you think, which is a lie, that's not consension. Right? The other point I want to make here is that there are at least 500 to 600 such cases per year. The number is not trivial. Right? And if we think this number is trivial, then we are not valuing human life. And this is a much more fundamental problem than just looking at a particular statistic that, okay, out of all the interfaith marriages in the country, only a few percentage, even if it's 2%, do the lives of those few percent not matter? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah, but right? if it is a small percent, and let me ask Makranji. Makranji is also here. Makranji, let me ask you this. Then does this become individual deviant minds who are deceiving and deceptive, or should you attach a larger theological intent to it? That is, that you want to eventually convert via allurement.
Yes, I think my fellow panelists have made very important points. I also want to congratulate them for their courage in speaking out, especially Amberji, because it's very difficult in our society to bring these issues to light. But as you said, case upon case, and several tragedies later, we are now waking up. So to answer your question, I feel what we need, first of all, is a definition of love jihad. And I have a very simple acronym for it, 3IMCI. I'll just explain what I mean. 3 I's, impersonation, inducement, intimidation. These are the 3 I's. MC, marriage conversion. And the last I is optional. I call it ill treatment / injury. So not all cases result in injury. often there is ill treatment. And even if they don't result in murder and hacking as we've seen, the fact that you have these 3 I's and MC is enough to call it a love jihad case. This is very different from 2 consenting adults who are free to choose their partners and also their religions, by the way, which is allowed in the Constitution. So I think we have to ensure that wherever there is impersonation, allurement or inducement, and then intimidation, as you said, leaking out clips, blackmailing, sometimes even torturing them, as was the case with Shraddha.
Yeah.
She was beaten, bruised. Now, here is where I come to the second part of this whole discussion. Legislation alone is not sufficient. As my friends have already said, my co-panelists, we need greater awareness and education in society. Younger people need counseling. We need more safe family environments where they can come up with their problems. Like Shraddha was being brutalized for such a long time, but she couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
There was so much shame involved, and both communities need counseling. It's not just one, because the other side also needs to be told the implications of this going down the road. And Aarti said, they target certain communities, but when I read up on this, there are 2 books on this, by the way.
Yeah.
A latest one by Monica ji, which was published by Garuda.
Right.
But in Kerala, apparently there was actually a price.
Yeah.
The higher caste women had a higher price in the inducement. So
Correct.
there is a global nexus here. And Anandi, the last point I wanted to make today was that we have to look at this in terms of the cultural background. If you're a Hindi speaker, you would have heard the phrase Ganimat hai. Now, Ganimat really means the conquest, the booty that the conquerors were entitled to, the booty that came from their right hand. If you conquer somebody, so the property, the women and the children become a part of the Ganimat. So you have to see the cultural background of conquest, conversion, and how, the children of the conquered, the children of both the slaves, and the concubines were automatically Muslims. And somebody was saying earlier, the prohibition against marrying outside the community sometimes results in very drastic steps. So we need, even under the Special Marriages Act, actually the problem is people have to say, I'm not a Hindu, I'm not a Muslim. Only then, I'm not a Parsi, I'm not a Christian. Only then you can, use the Special Marriages Act provision. But the moment you do, may I just finish? The moment you have a nikah on top of it, then you've sealed the door for any return. So through education, we can say that, first of all, if there has been impersonation, don't go ahead in this relationship. Secondly, if there's been any allurement, promises of marriage, or any threats or intimidation, please don't go ahead, Don't wait for marriage and conversion and then try to rectify the situation when it may be too late.
Well, but there are, if you look at different cases, in the case of when the second wife was chopped into many pieces, she knew she was the second wife. So she agreed to be, and she converted. She converted and she agreed. So then do you fault only the guy and the murderer for whatever he has done?
No. We are faulting society as well, Anandji, because she has no recourse, either legal or psychiatric or for counseling. We need places where women who are abused, in fact, women across the board need much more support in our society. So love jihad is only one aspect of it, but there's a lot of ill treatment of women in our society and they have no recourse. So we have to have a multi-pronged approach, legal, educational and societal, where there are support groups, where women can come out. There may be anonymous helplines. A woman should be able to go on an anonymous helpline and say, look, I need help, I'm in an abusive relationship. And this applies to whether they are married or not. There are many girls, I teach at a university, and people get into very abusive relationships because they have no help, because they have a double life. They're not telling their families what they're doing, you see?
Yes.
And there's shame, there's stigma. So we have to approach this in a very sympathetic, empathetic manner and look at all the complexities. But the bigger points, the 3 IMCI, this we have to foreground as a definition, impersonation, inducement, intimidation, marriage, conversion, and then ill-treatment, injury.
Yeah,
I think this is the... Yeah.
No, I understand. So you've explained it beautifully, but I just want to ask you, it's happening pan-India.
Right.
At different places.
Yes.
So are you saying there is a thought continuum?
Exactly. So my point is that the people who commit these kind of acts, they are indoctrinated, and at least my contention is this needs to be treated as organized crime. Because see, the pattern, it's not just that the crime is happening, the methodology, the timeline, the way they blackmail or they threaten the woman, all of these crimes, it's like it's playing out from a copybook. It's not like it's all scripted. So we have to treat it as organized crime and look at the background of these people, because most of these people never hang. They're never going to prison. And I mean, talking of intervention and therapy and counseling and all that, many of these women actually went to the police, asked for help, and they did not receive any help. They were, the claims were dismissed. So, it's not just the law. Law enforcement is a very big problem in India, and especially in these kind of sensitive cases, it's very easy to manipulate law enforcement. It's very easy to bribe somebody, or, for the person to have their own biases, or for just, to stay away from controversy or, some kind of infamy. These kind of cases do not get any attention until the woman ends up dead. That is the brutal reality. So I think this needs to be treated as organized crime. And just one more point, and I just wanted to address your point that, is this deviant behavior, or is this, some exception or something like that? All crime is deviant behavior. Not all of us end up as criminals. So, criminals are the deviant people.
What I'm also asking is, can you attach a theological motive to it? When you have this entire set of crimes, can you attach a theological motive pan? Because in some cases families are involved. In some cases they are just into a relationship and the guy decides that how dare you rebuke me, how dare you reject me, so I'll come and kill you. In other cases you have the classic Stockholm syndrome where the woman's being abused for 3-4 years but she does not get out of it. Then in other cases there are whole families involved who decide, let's just finish off with her because we don't like her. You get all of that. So then can I attach a theological motive to it?
I'd like to add on to this, because I think, Anand, we need a mass awareness on the particular topic, that the people of this country and globally should understand what is Islam is and what is the ethos and rules of Islam, because we have a concept of kafir and the hatred towards kafir is prevalent and everybody knows. When there is a concept of kafir and you want other people and the religious scholars lure people, if you convert a kafir into Islam, you will go to Jannah. So people end up doing such acts, which is prevalent, and now not only in India, you can see in other countries also. Pakistan, you can see every other day the girls of minority community, they just getting abducted forcefully, they are getting raped and forcefully converted to a man who is older and older, and nobody is listening to them because there is no legislature, no law, and nobody is going to listen to them because they think this is our right and this is all about Islam and we are serving our religion. So when there is a thought process like this, I think the people, especially girls of the different community, they should understand, and we need a mass awareness on this, that if you want to marry a Muslim man, then you have to convert. There is a precondition. There is no hunky-dory about anything. You need to understand first what you are getting into. I think this is...
So you are very, very clearly saying that there is no thing about interfaith marriage if it comes to a Muslim. It's a very, very strong statement that you make. I would like to believe that there are a lot of moderate...
religious scholar.
No, I understand. No, I'm just saying that I would want to say that there are liberal, moderate, right-thinking people in society who would say that I respect your faith and I'm not going to force you.
I wanted to add that we have a provision of special marriage. Correct, I think in that also there should be a provision that if you are getting married to a man or a girl of different community, there should be a provision that you cannot get converted even after marriage. So there are glitches in our legislature also. So there are so many points.
See, but here again legally it comes into play. If I voluntarily want to convert, then can you stop me from doing that?
You can respect your partner's religion, but you cannot convert. I think there should be a mutual respect. But there should not be
what the
such
crux, Aishwarya,
I
is
think-
that how
yeah.
do you know that what your decision you're taking is voluntarily and you've not
Exactly,
been brainwashed
exactly.
into thinking that that's what
Absolutely
you
right.
need.
Exactly.
So
and
all of that
as
is
she mentioned about Special Marriage Act, a very interesting thing. A lot of people don't want to go for Special Marriage Act because there is a notification requirement. So the government will publish a notice which says within 30 days these people are supposed to get married. If there are any objections are
Yeah.
invited. So people do not want to go for Special Marriage Act because their identity will be disclosed or their religion will be disclosed. That is something that acts as a deterrent. Now the same thing comes into play when you talk about any anti-conversion laws. If you talk about the UP prohibition or if you talk about MP, all of these envisage that the couple will have to declare that these people are getting married. There will be a 60-day, they'll have to submit before the DM.
They're notified,
They'll
yeah.
have to notify 60 days in advance so that a check can take place. Now, anybody would argue that this is to ensure that they are voluntarily getting converted. But the problem is, this is exactly what irks a lot of legal scholars because they say that this is against my right to privacy. As Aarti ji also mentioned about law enforcement agencies, the problem with law enforcement is that they sometimes tend to stretch it so far. So something like, inspecting or someone you automatically out of their own violation going and saying that, that's an interfaith couple. Whereas under the law, they are not supposed to do that, but they'll
Right.
end up going.
I just
They'll end up
remember a
stretching
case
so far.
from Delhi, a Muslim girl from Delhi, named Afreen. She wanted to marry, to a man of different religion, and she had to notify as per the law, as Aishwarya mentioned. And her parents got to know through, some policemen. And later on, she got logged for months and months. So that's how our, law enforcement agencies work. So how can you ensure the security of a woman pre or post marriage in such cases?
See, there is this whole thing about choice. So if you are an adult and if you're, then should I stop you from choosing?
Right.
Now, can law stop you
So
from choosing?
how does
I
my
can't.
point
from
is,
choosing.
my
I
point
think
was
it
that
asks you to
you
decide.
can marry a man of your choice irrespective of religion, but there should not be a condition of getting converting into that religion.
See, I think the precondition needs to come.
Absolutely, that was my point
precondition
is.
should not be there from the side of the other person, is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
Absolutely.
And the other question is, even for conversion, they should first have a primer on Islam before they convert to Islam, or a
Absolutely.
primer on Hinduism before they convert to Hinduism.
Absolutely.
So,
I think,
like,
yes.
you can't just say it's not like, today I'm something and tomorrow I'm something else. This is not a question of self-identification. You're getting into a very big ideological system. You're going to be a part of,
Absolutely
you're going to be a cog in that machine, right? So you
And
should
you'll
know
be
what you're
expected to
getting
follow
into
what they
before
do.
you make
Yeah.
a so-called voluntary decision. Because that's not voluntary if you don't know what you're
Or-
getting.
Correct.
And also,
And do you
Anand,
really- do
when
you really think-
when a Hindu girl got converted into Islam, then your right of being a Hindu woman gets away. You cannot claim, the property right in your husband. There is no safety of your financial security even in your marriage. You can't adopt a child. You can't claim your kharcha pani and nothing. There is no safety of your future financial or anything. So you need to know everything about it.
You need to know understand the implications.
Exactly.
Makaranji, final word, I'm way over time, but I know, see, because what happens is, one thing that we've been able to establish is that there seems to be a continuum, a thought continuum when these kind of acts are being committed, underlying. So if the messaging is coming from where they are getting this message, then those people who are setting this message or who are pushing this in their head saying this, what you're doing is right, or this is what you're supposed to do, and it's an achievement, it's a score, it's a tick box for you to get a step hope, on your pathway to heaven, or 72 hoors in your afterlife, then it's a problem that needs to be addressed. Secondly, there are two parties to this, Makaranji. There is a guy and there is a girl. So you can't just put the whole blame on one portion, because the other party is also getting vulnerable and it's also falling for this trap. It's getting baited. Makaranji, final word, I have to wind up. Ji.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's you have to look at this problem from multiple levels: theological, legal, social, and educational. As I said, theologically, we've already mentioned, as Amberji said, look at what's happening in Pakistan. Minor Hindu girls are getting abducted,
Skinned
raped,
now today.
killed,
Latest one.
converted, married. And what about ISIS and what they did with Yazdis? Look at the sexual slavery there. So there is a theological aspect which can't be put under the carpet, as many of us secularists, or secularists as some people call them, do. Legally, there are many loopholes. There are many problems. As we were talking, for example, turn it the other way around. If a Hindu woman marries a Muslim man who's very wealthy, say he's a Nawab, according to the Muslim law, unless she converts, their children can't inherit the property.
Correct.
So she'll say, well, I don't care so much about the theology, I want my children to be secure. So there's the legal side. Then there's the social side, which we brought up again and again.
Yeah.
And finally, the criminal side. I don't think we should stretch everything to these cases where people were brutally murdered and chopped up into pieces. I think we have to tackle it as a social issue where we have to educate both sides and keep your eyes open and look at what you're getting into, learn about what the implications are, and you are consulting adults.
Right.
No one can take away your rights. But by the same token, if I want to marry somebody and I put my name in the Special Marriages Act register, I can't be locked up in my room either because I'm an adult.
Correct. Well, very rightly said, but am I getting into that Special Marriage Act of my own free volition, or have I been brainwashed into believing that whatever I'm doing is right? That's again another big... That's again one big aspect, because if you look at the Hadia case and where she finally ended up in, what happened to the case in our courts and where she finally ended up in, if you look at the cases of the ISIS widows and the number of people and how many of them are actually girls from Hindu and Christian communities who are brainwashed and deeply radicalized, then people would understand the serious problem. But for the common person on ground, they believe it's my right to choose. Now, and if they are adults, then there becomes a bigger hindrance. It's quite engaging and thought-provoking, this entire thing. But yes, like you said, there are many layers, and what you said, the 3 I's and C and I. So that is something that we have to be very careful and we have to be mindful of. Makarand Paranjpe and to the ladies here in the studio, thank you very much for a very engaging conversation. We're going to take a very short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we turn the spotlight towards the NIA raids, 56 locations, and again it's the same organization that's been banned for 5 years. Are they regrouping? Stay with us.